In today's video, we're testing out if you can really be sure you've got a good watermelon from the grocery store. We like watermelon.
We are the math problem you learn about in school.
Yeah, if Nate and Callie
Have 12 watermelons.
well, we don't really know how the rest of the math problem goes. That's not our job. We do have a lot of watermelons here today, and we've got a reason for that. My whole life, I've heard that there are ways that you can choose a good watermelon at the store.
Looking at it, smelling it, banging on it.
Frankly, not all of them have always worked. Growing up, I always just heard the sound thing. You just want to hit the watermelon if it sounds big and empty and hollow, good thumping sound, that's supposed to be good. More recently, I've heard a lot more about looking for the yellow spot on the belly. That's supposed to be a good indication that the watermelon sat longer on the ground, had longer to ripen, and will be a good one. Here's the basic idea. There are several methods that are supposed to help you pick a good watermelon. Sometimes you can hit them, you can smell them, feel them, look at them. We want to find out which of these actually works to pick a good watermelon. Are they real or are they just old wives' tales? But I've also heard stuff about the stems a few different times.
Okay. Some people smell their watermelon.
I don't think I've ever thought I could smell a watermelon before cutting it open. So
Yeah,
maybe
I
I'm
don't
not
think
good
so.
at smelling things.
My mom would press, so not on the stem, but on the bottom. She would press and see if it was even slightly squishy. My dad's was my favorite way I ever learned how to pick a watermelon, though. He would close his eyes, reach into the bin, and then just take one. Usually it works.
Which I guess means usually watermelons are good.
Usually.
So you're usually gonna get a good one no matter what you
In
do.
my opinion, it's hard to have a bad watermelon.
I've had pretty poor watermelons. So I did talk to a friend of mine who actually worked on a watermelon farm. And he suggested a few things that they do, but they're a little bit more on the farm specific. So for instance, he said that if the stem has started to be curly, that's a good thing. This is the only watermelon I found with a stem. I found it at like an organic foods grocery store. None of the other watermelons, we've got 12, the other 11 don't have stems, but he also explained that that's what works at the farm when the watermelons are still on the vine, because it basically means the watermelon is just finished. It's taken all the nutrients it can and it's drying up. But when you ship them, they can just dry up in shipping. And so it might not work so well
That's true.
out in the
This one
non-field.
does seem pretty,
It's curly.
yeah, it's curly and dry, so that's probably a good sign.
It's also clearly a very different type of watermelon. They're
smaller.
They're smaller, it's darker, it's organic for better or for worse. But for the most part, we have a good variety of watermelons here.
Yep.
We've got probably 8 or 9 different brands of watermelon. It's not going to be an exhaustive enough test to identify if there's, I think we would need to buy like several hundred watermelons and have an army of people grading them and tasting them to get
I volunteer as tribute.
I wouldn't be opposed, but it'd be very expensive, and I think everyone would be mad that we bought all the watermelons. So it'd be interesting to see if like different brands are like noticeably better or worse, what the advantages and disadvantages of each are. But today, we're mostly going to be testing if we can identify before cutting a watermelon open if it's going to be good. Same watermelon farming friend, he said that the sound of a watermelon won't tell you anything about the flavor, but it will tell you something about the texture. And he said if it sounds like a mushy thumping, that's no good, and you'll probably have a mealy watermelon. And if it sounds like a tight drum kind of bouncing sound, then it's better.
At Guitar Center, there used to be this joke about how many different ways you could describe a sound. If it was warm, if it was twangy, if it was brassy. Now we're doing it with watermelons.
I like
It's
that
got
one.
to be the top. This one.
Less good reverb.
I think it's just
I'm not
the
a fan of the
biggest.
sound of this one.
No, that one's too thick.
That one sounds pretty good. Yeah, it is bigger, so it's a lower sound, but it just sounds.
This one literally
More
sounds like a
drum-like.
box drum. This one, I don't think it makes the right sound.
It's not as good. It's not bad.
This one's okay. This is also middle. I'd rate that a 5.
That one's low, but sounds kind of empty.
This one's tiny, but it's got a good sound. It's just because the way it's sitting on the counter? Might be. I don't
That
like
one's
that
very
one.
like echoey almost.
Yeah.
We have judged our watermelons. For the most part, we tend to agree.
Yeah,
We've got,
we both said 10 on this one, 7 on this
I think
one.
we have a difference of 3 on one of them, and that's the
Yeah.
biggest difference. So now we can go through, and I want to literally try and line them up from whitest to yellowest, and then we can number them, less subjectively. Okay, so we've got everything rated, our metrics.
Yep.
thumping sound, yellow spot, all lined up in order. I do think that maybe we should make the taste testing blind if possible.
Yeah, we should know what watermelon is coming from what watermelon.
All right, so we've got a couple friends who are gonna help us cut the watermelons and prep them. They will label them like secretively which watermelon they come from. We can then taste test, figure out which watermelon we like best, and then we'll compare
See what we rated it.
to the ones we rated.
Okay.
All right, so Nate and Kaylee want us to cut up some watermelons for this blind taste test. So what we're gonna do is we'll move the watermelons to the back table, bring up the cutting board and the knives, and I think the right way we should do this is to cut 2 cuts, and then we give them the center of the watermelon, and we put the 2 caps together.
I think that's where the most juice is gonna be, and that's where they're gonna get the best taste.
Yeah, and we'll secretly label what watermelon it is underneath the paper plates that we got behind us.
Whoo! We love it.
What's your color? Mine's more red.
Yeah, yours is definitely more red. All right, you think we're ready to call Nate and Callie back?
Sure.
Everything's sliced, labeled, and now it's time for them to do the testing. Nate, Callie, your snack is ready!
Come and get it.
Texture's good on this one, flavor's okay.
I thought this one was not gonna be very good because these larger white spots, it looks like it didn't get very ripe, but it actually has a pretty good flavor, at least on the darker parts. The whiter parts taste kind of like cucumber.
Texture's great on this one, there's no flavor.
Yeah, this one's a little weak on flavor as well.
Ooh.
That is really sweet. Not a ton of like watermelon flavor, but a very sweet flavor.
Better texture, no flavor. I like the color of this one. It's chewy. Why is that one chewy?
Okay.
Yep.
We've gone through. Did you put a rating on everything?
No.
Or so you just have like a favorite?
The problem is that you're right.
A lot blends together.
Yeah, we have a lot of just mediocre watermelon, but I have a favorite and have a least favorite. So
All right.
I made it easy.
I did write out 1 to 12,
'Kay.
and our 12 was our most yellow because we started at 1 and went up. So as I discover which is which, I'm going to put my rating on here so we can see how well
Perfect.
that lines up. So let's see. Right here we have I gave a 5, you gave an 8, and I gave a 9 for sound.
Okay. And what are you giving it for flavor?
I gave it a 5. All right, so number 6, I gave a 6.
Okay, this one's interesting. So I gave this a 7 for sound. You gave it an 8 for sound. This is 10.
Number 10, and this
Yep.
is the one that we both rated as the best tasting
Flavor,
one. So I
yes.
gave it an 8. Number 10.
Yep.
This was the little
This is the little one.
one that had a little bit of stem on
Huh, this is the organic one and we like the flavor more. Could be. Now this was my least
it. Had
favorite.
a curly stem.
It did.
You gave it a 1, I gave it a 2. It tasted, yeah, like it had maybe been
You-
so ripe it started to go bad.
You can see, yeah, right there. That's not a good color for a watermelon. Okay, I gave it a 5 and you gave it a 4 for sound. This
and
was
this
1.
was number 1.
So this is the one that looked so ripe because it was overripe. Now this one over here, this is one that we would have both given a 10 if the flavor was better because
Excellent
the texture.
yeah. So I'm curious about what the sound rating was in this one.
Ha, 4 and 6. This was number
So
5.
number 5.
Yeah, texture's fantastic on that one, but flavor, meh.
I would not call that a strong or obvious trend
Yeah.
for better yellow spot is better flavor. I gave an 8 to yellow spot number 10, which is our small organic watermelon. That ended up being our winner.
At that point, it comes down to the type of watermelon
It might
is.
be, yeah, it might have just been that breed of watermelon or how it was grown. If you leave that one out because it's so different, then number 4 was my highest rated at a 7 over here, and it was a very light colored watermelon. Like all of it was fairly light, and it had a large whitish yellow spot. The sound seemed to correlate somewhat
Better,
to texture. It's
better.
not perfect. We had some where we're like, oh, it sounds great, and then it was actually just not ripe inside. It was hard, not like a nice crisp firmness. It was just like crunching through it. So next time you go to the grocery store and you're looking at watermelons, what are you going to do?
I think I'm going to stick with my dad's tried and true method. It's my absolute favorite. You walk by, you grab a watermelon, you put it in your cart, and you don't look. But I would say that if I actually was going to choose one, I would go with the sound test. It seems to correlate a lot better than the
I think you get a
color.
good texture with the sound test.
And texture for me
decently.
is
It's not
99% of
It's
the
not
watermelon.
perfect. I think a yellow spot is a good thing to look for. I don't think you can just be like, it has a good yellow spot. It will be delicious. We didn't really get that result at all.
No.
Our number 12 just had a 5. It was fine.
Yeah, a little ripe.
Okay.
Overrated.
Now, we know this is not an end-all conclusive test. As I said, we'd want to do this with hundreds of watermelon and a lot more people all doing blind tests. And honestly, I'd probably prefer them all refrigerated. We didn't have the several refrigerators we would need just for watermelons to refrigerate these. But that's just my preference. I just like it colder. Some people might be perfectly happy with the fresh watermelon. That's fine too. What do you guys think? Do you have a test that you know has always worked? Have you ever tried writing down, like grading kind of thing? Because everyone is gonna have anecdotes of like, well, I got a yellow-bellied one and it was wonderful.
What is your best tried and true how to test a watermelon method? Because we've done this before with soda tests where we did a shake test, we did a tap test, and we had people in the comments saying, oh, well, we didn't do it the way they wanted us to, or we hadn't done it correctly. So then we did a second video and we did it again. Do we need to try and draw more conclusive evidence from this? What do you guys think?
Guys, that's it for today, but we've always got new cool stuff coming out. Go ahead and hit that button right there to subscribe so you never miss a great video, and we'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then.